initially look at the carcass, we want to rib the carcass between the 12th and 13th rib to expose the ribeye muscle. We are going to evaluate the carcass for maturity by looking in the thoracic vertebrae, the buttons on the ends of these spinous processes. Then we'll evaluate marbling in the ribeye to assess the quality grade. So for example, this carcass has about a small 20 marbling score, so low choice would be its quality grade. So a pretty simple process, just looking at maturity and marbling to determine quality grade. Then for yield grades, we want to measure different locations. We want to measure fat thickness opposite the ribeye. So we can do that in either tenths of an inches or in preliminary yield grade. So for example, this carcass has about 6/10 opposite the ribeye. Then we can look at the rest of the carcass here on the lower rib or round, loin, round, rib, chuck, etc. to make adjustments. So we might want to adjust this carcass a couple of tenths, so from like a 3.5 preliminary yield grade up to a 3.7 preliminary yield grade to get an idea of actual fat thickness of the entire carcass. So once we have our fat thickness, then we'll look and measure our ribeye size. So we can use this dot grid that is for every square on the grid with the little dot in the center is a tenth of a square inch. So we just lay that onto the ribeye and get a measurement. And this one, we count all the little dots there, and we get a 13.4 square inch ribeye for this ribeye size. We look at the hot carcass weight, which is 753 pounds for this animal. Well, so in the shortcut equation of USDA for yield grading, this animal would be required to have a 12.8 square inch ribeye. So it has a 13.4. And we know that for every inch deviation in ribeye size, we adjust the yield grade 3/10 of an inch. So this one has 6/10 bigger or larger ribeye size than is required in the equation for a 753 pound carcass. So we take a 12.8 minus 13.4 is 6/10, and then we multiply that by our 3/10 for the deviation size, and that would be minus 0.2. So we get an adjustment to our preliminary yield grade of minus 0.2 with ribeye. Then we also have to look at kidney, pelvic, and heart fat and make adjustments for that. So we just estimate the pounds of kph in here and make adjustments based on a percentage of hot carcass weight. So a 753 pound carcass, if we said that it had 2% kidney, pelvic, and heart fat, would have approximately 16 pounds of kidney, pelvic, and heart fat, or 15 to 16 pounds. And that would result in a minus 0.3 adjustment to preliminary yield grade, because 3.5% is the base in the equation, so no adjustment. Every 0.5 percentage change in kph, we adjust a tenth. If we subtract our 2/10 for ribeye and weight, our 3/10 for kph, from our 3.7 preliminary yield grade, we get a final yield grade of 3.2. So this carcass is considered a low choice yield grade 3.